Good evening. Hope you all having a lovely, lovely weekend. Welcome to I'mPossible conversation. Tonight, my guest is Helen Bowman. She's a copywriter, editor, and proofreader, and she's also based in the northeast of England. And I've never had anyone does same job at I'mPossible conversation, and I'm really looking forward what she's going to tell us about. And I'm going to bring her in now, and we'll discuss about what she does and why she do. Okay, let me Helen. Right. Here she is. Okay. So, hello.
Hi, hello.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. A bit nervous, but
Good,
I'm
good,
here.
good.
Apologies if
Yeah.
I caused any delay. I had my eyes peeled for the invitation coming through. So.
No, I think you came very, very quick. Okay, let's start. Could you please introduce yourself to our viewers, because most of them know you, but some of them might not know you.
Well, I don't know how many of them do know me actually. I certainly know a couple of people in your group, but yeah, my name's Helen Bowman. I'm a writer, editor, and proofreader, and my business is In the Detail. So yes, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
From a personal point of view, I'm a wife, I'm a mum, a baker, and I've been married to Stuart for 10 years. I have 2 children, one of whom Suki met earlier. Holly and William are 8 and 5. They're in the next room. Hopefully, fingers crossed, fast asleep by now after a busy weekend. So, yeah, my husband's away this weekend. I'm expecting him back at any minute. So hopefully he won't back through the door. But, you never know. But yeah, I live in Whitley Bay, which is kind of my hometown. I've grown up here since I was 7 years old. So sort of, not born and bred, but yeah. Whitley Bay is in the northeast of England for those people who aren't familiar. So yeah, that's me on a personal level.
Okay, so I know that you run In the Details. That's your company. Yeah. Would you tell us more about it? And then being a copywriter and editor and proofreader, what actually do you do behind this? Because that's just like a few titles, isn't it? What's involved in it?
Okay, well, if I start from a little bit from the beginning about the company. So I established In the Detail in 2006. I was living down in East Anglia. Since I graduated university, I moved down to East Anglia to be with my then partner, I did a degree in communication studies in Nottingham and moved down because I got a job straight from university, an admin job in a college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Even at the age of 21, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. So I thought, oh, well, I'll, get whatever job I can get and then make it up from there. So that's what I did. And I went from admin job to admin job and then sort of fell into marketing. I was doing a marketing qualification through one of my marketing jobs, and I sort of became the marketing arm of this small company. It was a small family-run company, and they asked me to do their marketing. So I started doing a marketing qualification, and so it was never really planned to go into sort of PR and marketing. From there I went I enjoyed the PR side of marketing more than anything else, so I sort of followed that path and ended up getting a job in PR in East Anglia, in a really tiny little agency. It was great. It was fantastic. I learned that I could write. That was the first time somebody had actually gone, oh, Helen, you're quite good at this. which was lovely, because it wasn't really something I'd like to say that, you know, since I was 2 years old, I've been writing stories and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't. I always enjoyed English and writing and that kind of thing, but I didn't realise I had, you know, a talent for it. So, yeah, from there I then went on to a slightly bigger PR agency in Peterborough, and then unfortunately my first marriage broke down at that point, and obviously I was devastated about that. I just turned 30 and I was getting divorced, and I thought, oh no, this is where the world ends, and you know, what am I going to do? And I was really quite devastated about that. But the whole process took quite a long time, and in the process of working out what I was going to do, I started to get quite excited. Actually, it gave me something to focus on, that I was going to come home to the Northeast, and I had the choice. I gave myself the choice of either getting a job, and, you know, a full-time job and a mortgage and setting myself up in a little flat somewhere, or moving in with my very accommodating mum and dad, and setting up on my own. And I'd always wanted to be self-employed. It was always something that had been in the back of my mind. I thought I'd love to do that, and so that gave me, you know, a time in my life when I was obviously a bit down. It gave me something to focus on, and I came home in 2006. I think it must have been the beginning of June 2006, and by the end of June 2006 I had set up in the detail, and I was out. I'd got my business cards printed, and I'd set up my own website, basic as it was back then. And, you know, I'd started like looking around for networking opportunities, and asking about, because social media wasn't a massive thing for businesses back then. It sounds like the dark ages, but, you know, 2006, I think I joined Facebook around about then, but purely on a personal basis. So the only way I knew how to sort of promote my business was get out there and talk to people. And I did a bit of my own PR, obviously, you know, that was what I'd just left doing. So I got a newspaper and all that kind of thing. But basically it was all about word of mouth, and referrals from, you know, the bits and pieces of work that I picked up as I went along. So I was networking like a demon, handing my cards out like a dealer at Vegas, and yeah. So I mean, basically the company in the detail, I cherry picked the areas of PR that I enjoyed the most. I mean, I was quite happy in my job in PR, but actually I was getting a bit sort of browned off with having to chase journalists, and you know, having to place stories and all that kind of thing. And so I cherry picked the three parts of my job that I like the most, which is the writing, the editing, and the proofreading. So that was what I was offering. And actually, back then, I think quite a lot of people I came across in my networking didn't know that was something that somebody could do. That, you know, that I could. It was quite a surprise that people would, you know, I'd sort of explain what I did, and people were like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. And so, yeah, so I now, I write web copy, brochure copy, newsletters. I do regular blogs for people. I edit existing copy, so if people just want a refresh of their website copy, then, you know, I can do that. I've edited a couple of novels to date, which is really lovely.
Wow.
That
so
actually has
lots of reading, isn't it?
a lot, and it was time consuming, and but I really enjoyed it. One was and funnily enough, you know, I've done two novels in all the years that I've done that I've been running in the detail, and they both came at the same time, which was a year past January. I got two inquiries at the same time. One was a novel about love, which was it was great. I really enjoyed that. It was a little bit graphic in places, but you know, I'm open-minded. So I went with that and did that. And the other one was kind of a sort of a fantasy novel, like a sci-fi style. really quite, you know, a long book, but it was great. Really enjoyed that, and I got my teeth into that. So, so yeah, I've done that kind of thing. And proofreading, I have a couple of clients who literally once or twice a week will send through their blogs or their articles and just ask me to pass my eye over them. So that's the kind of thing that I do on a day-to-day basis. And you know, social media content planning for people as well is one of my services. So that just gives a bit of an overview about my company. So.
Yeah. So just listen to you. What's the like difference between being editor and a proofreader? When you proofread, is it just spelling mistakes, or I don't know. What's the difference?
Yeah, there is quite a difference.
Uh-huh.
So I
Because
mean,
some people might
quite
not know. I
no,
surely don't know. Yeah.
no. I mean, the two can go hand in hand. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
someone might come to me and say, could you proofread something for me? But I end up
Mm-hmm.
editing, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, yes, if somebody were to send me, well, any amount of words, it doesn't matter. It could be, you know, 500 words. It could be a novel, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't know what they want me to do, I will have a look at those words and sort of say
Mm-hmm.
to them, I could make a few changes to make it a little bit more readable, or literally just go through and make sure there's no typos, no grammatical errors, make sure all the full stops are in the right place, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the proofreading side of things. The editing is actually taking some existing copy and changing it around and actually, you know, getting my fingers on the keyboard and editing, you know, swapping around sentences or chopping up sentences to make them shorter and more readable and that kind of thing. So yeah, there is, it's a lot, it's more work to do the editing,
Yeah.
obviously. You know, I
Yeah,
have,
of course. Yeah.
the,
Uh-huh.
and actually I have, yeah, the novels that I did edit. They were edited rather than proofread. So yeah, they were quite a lot of work, but really good fun as well. So.
Yeah, I bet no one can, because what happens to me is because English being my second language, I've signed up that program called Grammarly.
Yes.
Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
And
Yeah.
apparently that should do the work of proofreading, and sometimes even more, even a lot of, I'm sure they won't edit, but they ask you what kind, like, is it going to be informative or formal?
Yeah.
It's just give you different options.
And they do.
And I just like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And then when I ask people, and it's still a little bit wooden, if you know what I mean. It's not like as flowy.
Well, that's it. It depends. It depends on the tone of voice you're going for, apart from anything else. I mean, Grammarly, I have used it myself, and you
Oh,
know, it
have
does
you?
a little. Well, I've just tried it just to
Uh-huh.
see because I've
Uh-huh.
heard a lot about it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Just to, you know, see basically what it's all about. It does
Yeah,
pick up
of course. Uh-huh.
typos.
Because it's in
It
your
does.
area.
It does suggest, you know, shortening sentences and that kind of thing, which is great to make things more readable. But if you know, if you've got quite a quirky conversational tone of voice that you want to get across in your writing, then it doesn't necessarily work for that kind of thing. It does make things more readable, and it does, for, you know, in certain ways it is quite helpful just to polish up a piece of copy, but also it doesn't pick up things like, you know, if you've got two words that are spelled the same but mean different things, or are spelled differently, and
Yeah.
you know, it might not pick up different things like that.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a little bit careful. They're useful tools. The same with the spell checker on Word. They are useful. They can pick up when you've, you know, got two letters the wrong way round and made a spelling mistake and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. They are really useful tools for that kind of thing, but they don't go obviously quite as in depth as the human eye would do. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, definitely. And then it's as a person, you will pick up much more things
Yeah.
than the machine, the
Yes.
program, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got a few visitors here. And hello, Frank. Hello, Kay. And my friend Helen, she's a copywriter, editor, and a proofreader. If you guys have any questions, just type away and I'll ask Helen.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, also, when you were talking about the novel, you said you read them all, and are you? It's just like just out of curiosity, when you do editing, are you able to use like audibles, like kind of well, probably not because they are already book, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, because
it's all
that's are
written,
not published books. Yeah.
it's pre-published, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I mean, there is a little tip for people out there who are trying to sort of proofread their own work or just want to step away from it. If you've written something on Word, something as simple as on Word, you can go into the review section of Word, and you can ask it to read aloud. And that's quite handy. It comes across in a bit of a robotic monotone,
Yeah.
but you can kind of if you can drag your eyes away from the screen and just listen to your words being read, it gives you a bit of an idea as to whether it comes across nicely, whether it flows nicely. It might feel a bit clunky when you hear it read aloud, but that's quite a nice, just from your question about the audibles, that can be quite a handy tip for someone who's just trying to freshen up their own words themselves, just to do that, or even read it aloud themselves. It's something that I think gets overlooked as a handy tip for making sure your copy's quite good. It sounds nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good one. Yeah, because Helen, nowadays everyone's on social media and they're promoting themselves, and the content planning is a very big thing nowadays. What's your advice? What is your advice around that area? How people should approach to that? And what do you do to help other people to have a right content? And I don't know, is it more about the audience or is it more about your product? How does it work?
A little bit of everything, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
My tips for that would be try and plan ahead as much as you can. Even if when I say plan ahead, even on a Monday morning, spend 10, 15, 20 minutes on a Monday morning just looking ahead, planning out what you want to say. It's handy to have a bit of a schedule going on. So rather than just going at it ad hoc and just thinking, oh well, today I might post on Facebook and tomorrow I'll post on LinkedIn. It's better, I think, if you can be a bit more scheduled than that and just say I would aim for posting on Facebook 3 times a week and the same on LinkedIn, and would like to tweet 3 times a day. Just try and be a bit scheduled about it, and then that gives you something to aim for so that you can you're not beating your head against a brick wall every time you sit down and beating yourself up for missing a day because things have taken over. So planning is a really big thing in social media content, I think. And the service that I provide is it is a planning service. It's not about necessarily when to post and the algorithms and how to beat them and all that kind of thing. It's literally I help people with the ideas of what to talk about. Most of us know, as business owners, as even if you're not a business owner yourself, but you're responsible for social media of a business. Social media is huge, and it's very, very helpful for businesses of any size. And really, you're missing out on a trick if you're not promoting yourself on social media. So and I think from when I've spoken to people, the biggest hurdle that people have is knowing what to talk about. They can sort of come up with maybe half a dozen decent posts if you talk to them from the off, and then they'll go, not sure what else to say. And from experience, I know, I've done it myself, it can go right to the bottom of the priority list if it's not something you can just pick up and do, because your own business does go to the bottom of the priority list anyway. But social media, if you're constantly flogging to you know, to come up with something to say every time you sit down, then it's a real effort. It's a chore. It takes longer than it should, and it probably then doesn't get done. I know, because that's how I was. I didn't schedule in any way. I didn't plan ahead. I just would think, oh heck, I haven't posted on Facebook for ages, and you know, I really should, and I would just do it on an ad hoc basis, and that doesn't, you know, nobody sees your posts. They're not useful to anybody. People forget about you in the meantime. So, you know, what my planning service is all about, coming up with ideas about what to talk about. So I will go through, I've got several clients on a monthly basis that I send just purely a calendar of content prompts. So I send through a whole month of ideas, with not necessarily something on every day, because you might not want to post every day, but just, you know, to try and come up with some ideas for people, so that they're not staring at a blank post, or, as I say, beating their head against a brick wall trying to come up with ideas. So yeah, that's have you got something going on?
No, dear, my son's trying to hide it, crawling next to me. I say, okay, it's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Go on, sorry.
So yeah, because in the detail, because I am in your Facebook group, and you provide people what day it is for each day, so that people can pick up the ideas, and that's just kind of a free, you giving away ideas for people. So people really should sign up for that and get the more content for their business.
Like you say, it's free, no obligation. You're not signing up to anything. It's just my Facebook group. It's called Creative Content with In the Detail, and every weekday I post sort of, you know, the awareness days that there are. There seems to be at least 2 every day of the year, but it just, and I would advise that, you know, a lot of people will go, oh, awareness days, you know, they're not going to be relevant for my business, but actually you don't have to say, oh, it's you know, National Penguin Day today, let's talk about penguins. But I use them, you know, I use them for myself as a prompt. So I won't necessarily mention that it's National Penguin Day, but that
would you not?
I do sometimes, but I might just use it as a prompt, and if I think about penguins, I might then go off on a complete tangent, and it just brings something to mind, and it gives me something to talk about. I'll look back and see who was born on a certain day, or who died on a certain day, and you know, if there's someone prominent in history, you can use. I think it was one day last week was Gene Wilder's birthday. And so I went on and I got a quote from Willy Wonka about, I can't remember what the quote was now, that's awful. But you know, it was kind of a motivational style quote, and I used that as a post to write about something. Obviously, as a writer, I can write about anything I like, and you know, it kind of shows off my skills, if you like. But it can be turned around to be relevant to most businesses. So my group is, as I say, Creative Content with In the Detail is my group, and I do kind of provide little writing prompts every day, just to help you come up with ideas for social media. So sign up if that's of interest.
So what would be your advice for the people who is trying to create their own content? How much is enough? Is it like, and then like if you plan ahead, maybe weekly basis or monthly basis, and we don't want like whole 10 sentences like every week or other week. We just want to include some photos and some maybe quotes and some promotions, and is there like any right mixture, and then what's like kind of works generally?
No, I think it depends. It depends on the business. It depends on your audience, and I think over time you come to know what works, because you can look back and see which of the posts have been more successful, which have garnered more sort of engagement and comments and that kind of thing. But I would say that a nice mixture. you
Mhm.
obviously you're in business to make money, to sell your services, your products, whatever it is that you're doing. So yes, you need to talk about those, but you
Mhm.
don't want to be ramming those down people's throats all the time. Just
Yeah.
purely posting on social media raises awareness of you. So you don't always have to be saying, 10%
Mhm.
off such and such, or have you seen this product that I sell? Or, you don't always have
Mhm.
to be doing that. Obviously, do that sometimes just to remind people
Mhm.
what you actually do. But then you can also, it's nice for people to see a bit more of the personality behind your business.
Mhm.
So, I mean, for ages and ages, I never posted a selfie or posted myself or, did anything other than today I'm writing
Mhm.
about, fairies at the
Yeah.
bottom of the
Uh-huh.
garden or whatever, because I just
Mhm.
thought, well, why would people want to know about that? But actually, I do it myself. I like to see the person behind a business. If I'm going to buy from someone, I like to see the
Mhm.
person behind it. I like to know a little bit about them. Do they have a family? Do they have a
Yeah.
dog? Do they, what do they
Mhm.
do at the weekend and all that kind of thing? So without being absolutely, telling everybody what you're having for dinner, a
Yeah.
nice a personal
Uh-huh.
approach to your social media from your business point of view is really good.
Yeah.
So I do advise that people use the occasional social media post to give a bit of a personal insight to the business. So
Uh-huh.
whether it's a behind
Yeah.
the scenes look or an introduction to a member of the team or something,
Mhm.
take a photo of your dog looking cute under the desk and all that kind of stuff. It's
Mhm.
nice
Yeah.
to kind of show a human
Mhm.
element to the business. So
Mhm.
and as I say, I mean, I've got one client who only likes to post, once a week. She's just getting into the whole social media thing, and she feels that once a week is enough. But as long as she's doing that every week, her audience
Mhm.
knows to expect a post a week, and that's fine.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Personally, I post maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Um,
Okay. Not
but
a day.
that's my choice, and that's what I can keep up with. If you can't keep up with that, then there's no
Mhm.
point doing that. But there's always the argument of several people have said to me, I don't want to post too often because people will get sick of me. Well, I'm not sure that that's true. I don't get
Mhm.
sick of businesses. When I'm scrolling through my Facebook, I don't think, oh, they posted again. If I'm not interested, I'll scroll on by. It's not a problem. But
Yeah.
the fact that that business has been there brings it to the
Mhm.
forefront of my mind, and it's brand awareness. I might not have read what they've put
Yeah.
particularly that day. It might not have resonated with me, but the fact
Mhm.
that there is something there just keeps that business at the top of my mind. I think you're not actually knocking on somebody's door 3 times a week and forcing them to talk to you on social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't think I don't think that the whole they're going to get sick of me argument really has legs, to be honest, because
Right.
people can just scroll by if they want to.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. And then also I've just been part of a little group, and they've had a they we had a like training. Are
right.
you there? Yeah. Uh-huh. So and on that
You're frozen
training,
a little bit, but
basically they
I'm still here.
advised be yeah be vulnerable. Have a like post showing how vulnerable you can be, and also there was another option of like having a rant about
Right.
why you and it seemed like it's working. The people who's done that, and because the engagement they getting from after that post, like 300 200, because they share it, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very good. And as a PR professional, what would your advice be in that kind of stuff?
I think definitely, as I say, showing a personal insight,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, a little bit of vulnerability. I mean, I shared in a post a few weeks ago. I think it was something like World Fairy Tale Day or
Mm-hmm.
something involving fairy tales. So I wrote a little once upon a time there was a lady called Helen, and I wrote
Mm-hmm.
a kind of a fairy
Mm-hmm.
tale about my story about I was very unhappy living with blah 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 in Peterborough, and and I wrote a fairy tale about my story, which kind of, you know, it involves divorce and unhappiness and vulnerability and all that kind of thing. And actually that went down really, really well. Because I mean, I did it in a style of a fairy tale, which was a little bit different, rather than just saying, I wanted to tell you my story. But, you know, tell your story if you've suffered with, you know, mental health issues. I know a lot of businesses who are very open about that, and that's fantastic, because they talk about, you know, when it's mental health awareness week, they spoke about mental health, and, you know, how what roots that has in their business and all that kind of thing, and that's fantastic. Ranting, I've never done that, but that's not to say, you know, don't do it, obviously, if it works. But I think there's a fine line, and you have to be very careful. If you're going to come across as disrespectful in some way, or have sort of, you know, slightly controversial views on things, I'm not saying don't have those views, I'm just saying, you know, if business, maybe don't be too controversial. But yeah, I mean, anything that sort of incites a bit of emotion in people, then you're always going to get a reaction. You're not always going to get a positive reaction, maybe, you know, you might get a couple of reactions that sort of kick against you. But yeah, I mean, be vulnerable, have a little bit of an opinion on something, but just, I think, be careful, be mindful that you are a business, and you have a professional front to keep up. So that
even its personal brand, it's, you might kill it just doing something little wrong, isn't it?
You could. I mean, you know, even things like Joe Brand, or you know, this week, was it, she can't even remember off the top of my head what she said. She said some about throwing battery acid rather than a milkshake over politicians, and you know, you kind of go, oh dear, that's even as she was saying it, she's probably thinking, oh, that probably wasn't a very good idea. You know, she was having a bit of a rant about politicians, but she's had to backtrack and apologise. So there's, you know, obviously we're not all celebrities, comedians talking about that kind of thing. But, you know, it's that kind of thing that you have to be very careful. And who lost their job? Someone a few weeks ago got sacked. Was it Danny Baker? No, I can't remember. Anyway, got sacked from the BBC for saying something controversial. And you know, you've just, I think, whoever you are, at whichever level in society you are, you've just got to always be mindful of what you're saying, and just be careful, I think. Fairly common sense, really. But yeah, anything that opens up a kind of a dialogue with your audience in a positive way is got to be a good thing. So yeah, be vulnerable, have a bit of a rant, just you know,
of course,
be mindful about it.
Yeah, because you are quite active on a LinkedIn as well as on a Facebook, aren't you? And being one of those, a quite professional platform, and the other one's quite relaxed, the social one. What do you think, like, because you probably won't use exactly the same wording or post in both sites. So is there anything you could advise to our viewers about it?
I think, I mean, I always make sure that I might talk about similar topics on the two platforms, because, you know, a day might be too good to pass up, an awareness day or something. So I might talk about similar topics, but I will use different words, and I might take a slightly different approach. As you say, on Facebook, that approach tends to be a little bit softer around the edges, a little bit more touchy-feely, maybe with a little bit more humour, or you know, just a little bit more fluffy, a bit more personal.
On Facebook, right?
Yes, on Facebook. Whereas LinkedIn, yes, there is. I think some people are trying to take LinkedIn a little bit more towards the Facebook sort of, you know, model, but LinkedIn, it tends to be a little bit more formal, a little bit more business-like, and so my advice would be just to, I mean, as I say, I talk about pretty much the same things, I think. With LinkedIn, it basically, it pays to because when you're scrolling through, well, with both of them actually, but LinkedIn in particular, I've found if you have a quite a catchy opening sentence of your post, always try to have like a, you know, something catchy that catches people's eyes and then they will read on. I've always been told that, as I say, I'm not a specialist in the types of posts that you should do for the algorithms and that kind of thing, but I've always found that just pure text is better on LinkedIn.
Really?
Yeah, I think, video obviously is
okay, right.
always top of the pops, but yeah, pure text is the next sort of best performing post type. Whereas on Facebook, you know, people like to see pictures. So if I'm using a quote, I will get onto Canva and whip up a quick sort of graphic with the quote on and maybe a picture behind and that kind of thing. On LinkedIn, if I include photos, my reach goes down. However, there is a caveat to that if you tag lots of people in. So I tend to put photos on LinkedIn when I've been at a networking event, for example, and will tag people that I've met. And obviously then their connections will see that they've been tagged and it will reach more people. So that's always helpful. But yeah, generally, you know, text only posts or videos are the way to go on LinkedIn, and yeah, a little bit more formal. Although I've seen people rant and I've seen people be vulnerable, and you know, the occasional F-bomb is being thrown in there, and you know, not by me personally. I don't. Neither am I offended by people who do. It's just not, you know, my business style.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's changing. I mean, when I first signed up to LinkedIn, it was very, very business-like. It was basically, I think there were very few conversations going on. It was more of a, I don't know, an online diary or something, just people sort of telling their stuff online and telling you what they would do day to day. And whereas now it's a lot more interactive, a lot more. It has got less formal. It's less stuffy than it ever used to be. So, and videos are just the way forward. But if that's a problem for people who don't like doing videos, I still haven't been brave enough to do a video on LinkedIn. I don't know whether you've ever done any on LinkedIn, but no, because I mean, you know, you obviously do this, and you're sort of a lot more used to doing lives.
No.
Than anyone I do, but no, I'm still haven't been brave enough yet. I'll get there. I will get there in the end.
We'll get there. Yeah. Because like, even I was just thinking when you were talking about LinkedIn, they've managed to add a few emojis now, didn't they? Yeah. So it's just recent, very recent.
Very recent. Probably, in the last month or something, I think. Well, it's rolled out, so some people have had it for longer, I think. But yes, the emojis, I think you've got to celebrate, you've got to love, you've got to, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what you've got, but yeah, that's, and the news feed is looking more and more, you know, Facebook-esque. But I think it still holds that, you know, the post style is different, and people talk about different things, and in general, but yeah. It's getting less and less formal all the time, I think. But yeah, I think people, the difference is people are signed in to LinkedIn as their professional selves.
Yes.
Rather than on Facebook, yes, I have my business page, but I've also got a personal account, and you are linked, and you know, you comment on other people's business as yourself, and people on your business as themselves. So it's a little more informal, whereas LinkedIn is all done through, it depends, you know, you are your work person really, when you're on LinkedIn. So I think that just lends a little bit more formality to the whole situation. So
exactly.
But LinkedIn are now seeming to push business pages. Pages didn't really seem to do anything for a long time, but now that, you know, I've had an awful lot of invitations to like people's business pages on LinkedIn. rather than just their, you know, their personal business profile. So there seems to be a push towards that at the moment. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah, sure we will. And because as a proofreader and editor, you must read loads of books.
On a personal basis, not as many as I'd like. I think that's something to do with having young children and running two businesses. The one which I haven't spoken about, but busy life. But I do try to even, you know, I do have a book. I've got a pile of books next to my bed, and I've always got one on the go, and it just, you know, depends how busy I am as to how quickly I get through it. But yeah, I do. I love reading. I've always got, you know, business books on the go as well. But as I say, I think it's, as with most people, it kind of it comes in cycles. Sometimes I read a lot. Sometimes I barely touch a book for, you know, a couple of weeks. But yeah, I do. I love reading, and sometimes I find it difficult to switch off my my editor head, and I want to sit there with my red pen and make some corrections, and you know, and it's amazing how many you know, like mainstream published books there are out there that have actually got mistakes in them. But
really,
I have,
because I can say like probably like self-published books are different matter because they don't require really. Yeah,
you can tell
that's the mainstream. It's a little bit worrying, isn't it?
I mean, literally, maybe, you know, one or two mistakes in a whole book, and you know, it's human beings at the end of the day, isn't it, that are looking for these things, and everybody gets tired, everybody has an off day, and you know, it never spoils my enjoyment of a book. But yes, I do sometimes. I do, and I correct
pick
people,
up bits and bobs.
On the news if they say something. But yeah, my husband just laughs at me now, so he knows better than to do anything other. So
so the what book has influenced you the most?
Oh, that's a good question, and that's a tricky one. I think from a professional point of view, I loved Stephen King's On Writing. I really enjoyed that. You know, I probably haven't read as many books about writing as I would like, because you know, I'm busy with the writing and with the business and the family and all that kind of thing. But yeah, Stephen King's On Writing is great. That's a good one. I've also got this a guy called Andy Maslin, who is a bit of a copywriting guru in this country. I've got a couple of his books which I've, you know, the copywriting source book, which is I haven't got it anymore, actually. I gave it away as a competition prize a few weeks ago. That's helpful actually for anybody who's writing their own copy in business, because it's actually broken down into email copy, newsletter copy, web copy, you know, all the different types of copy, and then it goes through with sort of helpful tips about how to write your own copy. So that's that might be quite a useful one for some people. But I love my favorite. I basically love reading fiction, and my favorite genre is kind of a murder mystery thriller type.
Really? Okay.
But, you know, as a local author, I like Anne Cleeves. I've read a lot of hers, because some of them are set in eBay and all that kind of stuff, and I like that. So yeah,
Anne Cleeves is off of Vera, is that right?
Vera, yes,
yeah.
yes. For whom, if I may, I have actually baked a couple of cakes for the wrap parties for Vera, and so I do actually have a couple of pictures of me with War Brenda. So yes, but that's a by the by. But yeah, so Anne Cleeves is great, and there's another fairly local author who I'm reading at the moment called I don't know if it's Marie Hannah or Marie Hannah, and one I'm reading at the minute is all set in Newcastle, and I love a local novel. I love you know, being able to sort of visualize where I am or where the people are and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love getting lost in a book, and yeah, it's one of my favorites to do. I have got a huge pile. Me and my sister-in-law swap books quite often because she reads the same things as me, but she reads a lot faster than I do. So she's always giving me loads of books.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, reading is definitely a big part of my life.
Yeah, of course. And I've been, because I was thinking, I went like PSA, the one networking event I attend, and we had a publisher there other day, and then she kind of given us some advice how anyone could have a little book for themselves.
Right.
And
who was
I don't know. That was Sue Richardson. But she came from Birmingham, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, she came specifically for that networking event. And it was like, well, she's a publisher herself. And she talked about the different way you can publish your books. And then like traditional way, like self-publishing, and there is something in between them.
Right.
There are different types, and then what's the best way, what's the best way and stuff. And I was thinking about you.
Yes. Because that is something we've talked about, isn't it? I'm trying to come up with the best way to sort of put all my basically all my content into one sort of thing that I can then get out to my audience as well. So yeah, I mean, that's something that I'm really interested in. I would like to write an ebook or, you know, self-publish something, but it's all a little way down the line at the moment. But it's good. I mean, even if you know, if blogging is basically publishing your work, isn't it, really? If you've got a business blog and you're keeping that up to date, you know, you're publishing a little bit of yourself every month, or, you know, however often you post. So just get writing, basically. That's what you need to do.
That's what you love doing.
Absolutely.
Do you want to touch a little bit about your other side of business, or
my other business? Yeah, I can do. Well, so as I said, I set up In the Detail in 2006. I then met and married my husband. We got married in 2009, 10 years ago. Goodness me, that's flown by. And then within sort of a year and a bit, my daughter came along. And actually, at the time, I was part-time employed as an assistant editor on a magazine and editor on a slightly smaller magazine. And when I was on maternity leave with Holly, I was made redundant, and so it wasn't brilliant. But I was still doing In the Detail, you know, alongside my self-employment, my employment. So I was doing both. But obviously, you know, my employment came to an end, and once I'd sort of got to the point with Holly where I felt like I was coming out of the other side of the fog, I started doing my writing again and contacting my old clients. But by that point, I'd got to the stage where Holly would literally be under my desk pulling out the cables of the computer and, you know, chewing on things and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, oh my word, can I really do this? I really, you know, I'm not sure I can have the you know, the brain space to be able to write a sentence. I could barely string one together myself, let alone write one. So and be, you know, be able to do it while Holly's crawling around the floor and trying to stand up and all that kind of thing. So I've always baked, and I know it's, you know, writing, baking, they're kind of, you know, quite a long way apart, but I've always baked. My mum taught me how to bake from when I was little. I've always loved baking, and I discovered baking again, and a couple of friends sort of said, oh, you know, this is really nice, have you thought about selling your cakes? And I was like, no, don't be silly, no. But then I started, you know, they sowed a seed, and I started thinking about it, and I thought, do you know what, I can bake with, you know, with a baby around, and, you know, it's much more sort of family friendly kind of business, and so I started doing cupcakes. I set up myself a little business, got the business cards again. So my second business is called Mrs. B Bakes, and I was trying to think the other day when I set it up. I think it was 2012 I started doing that. And I was doing cupcakes initially, and people were saying, "Oh, can you do big cakes?" And I'd go, "No, never done a big cake, never covered a big cake, not going to do that. It's too frightening." And eventually I did. I got brave and I did it, and now I do mostly big cakes and very few cupcakes. But yeah, so I still do the two businesses. With I started out thinking, well, you know, this will just keep me going while, because I've since then had a little boy as well, so I've got two children, 8 and 5. And it kept me going through that as well. And, you know, I was able to more or less go straight back to work within a couple of months of William being born. It's kept me busy. It's kept me, you know, out of mischief. But it was never meant to be a long-term thing. But as the months and the years have gone by, I've invested so much time and money and skill, and, you know, I've learned a lot. I mean, anyone who looks back at my cake pictures will see, goodness me, I really should take some of the early ones off. But, you know, my skills have kind of, you know, have gone that way, thankfully. And you know, I've invested a lot of myself and time, and I've got quite a good, I've got a very good customer base for my cakes as well. So actually, I do split my time between the two businesses. So I generally, in a week, I will do writing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and do the cakes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, you know, I have a kind of a split of my time. But you know, I really enjoy the cakes, and I don't want to give them up. But I am sort of swinging back to trying to claw back a little bit more of the time to do the writing, because that is my first love, as it were. So yeah, I have a little bit of a almost a split personality.
That's completely to a different thing, and you enjoy it a lot. So did you say you learned how to bake with your mom?
Yeah, my mum taught me how to bake, and her mum taught me. And now my daughter Holly bakes with Nana every time she goes around to Nana's house.
Oh,
she'll
really?
say, Nana, can you bake a chocolate cake? Yeah, she makes a mean chocolate cake. Yeah, not bad for an 8-year-old.
Yeah, lovely. So who has been the most influential role model for you?
Oh my word. Do you know, I'm not sure. In my personal life,
some people just think like, oh, that's some people say like my parents, and some people say like, I read that book and that just stick in my mind, and people all have different answers.
No, absolutely. And I think from a personal point of view, I can't really say that anybody was an influence when it came to working for myself. That you know, I don't really know, or didn't, when I first started thinking about it, when I first came back, I didn't really know anybody who ran their own business. And like now, everywhere I go, I meet people who run their own businesses, and it's fantastic. We've got, you know, there's a massive sort of sole trader community out there, which is absolutely incredible. But when I first started, I was kind of a little bit odd in, you know, being a relatively young female running her own business. And I like that. I really enjoyed telling people, I still do actually, I still really enjoy telling people that I'm self-employed. I love the feeling that gives me. And sometimes the reaction I get from people, you know, it's lovely. But I mean, obviously my parents have been nothing but supportive. They've been incredible. When I first came back, you know, up north in 2006, and I said I wanted to start my own business, and obviously I was earning next to nothing, and they were so supportive, and let me live under their roof for, you know, peanuts, which was fantastic. So without them, I wouldn't have been able to do that. But really, I can't really pinpoint a single person, but the community that I mentioned before around here, especially since I've gone back to work. My youngest is 5 now. He started school in September, so I hit the ground running in September. And the people that I've met since then, there are some absolutely incredible people in the Northeast who are champions of business people, of sole traders, of entrepreneurs, and the community is absolutely incredible, and they give you so much support, and there's so much training, and it's just, yeah, there's not a single person that I could mention, because everywhere I turn I've got several mum friends who have their own businesses, and you know, there's never any kind of element of, oh well, you're in competition. It's not. It's always just, how could we work together? How can we support each other? And you know, so yeah, I don't think I have a single influence. I think just I'm incredibly lucky to be doing this at a time when where the community is just thriving and incredible. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, so because just I've been off from work just for a very short period of time, and you know, I've tried to build up my business, start my business, and then I've just joined like in a few networking events, and I felt that's very close knit family, like community of the entrepreneurs, and they really do look after each other. They do look after each other. Yeah, that's the and I've really felt you have every support you need, and you are there for each other. And even on a Facebook, that communities, they support, and if someone needs help, the other one knows there is always an answer for everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was just amazing to see.
It is, yeah. There's some fantastic Facebook groups out there that, you know, people will post asking questions, or you know, who does this, who does that, and the speed at which people get back, and you know, the kind of the amount of conversation one post can generate is absolutely incredible. And people are just so open and giving with the information that they're willing to sort of share. I think, you know, once upon a time it would have been a bit like, well, you know, I can tell you that, but this is how much it's going to cost you. Whereas now people are very, you know, if you're in a community like that, people will just say, yeah, happy to help out, you know, send me something and I'll, you know, have a look at it for you, or whatever. So yeah, it's a wonderful time to be alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't believe, Helen. Yeah, I can't believe, Helen, it's been over just an hour or so, because the time just flies by. Yeah, I think that, yeah, this will be like my last question. And I would like to ask, what's the big dream, and where are you seeing yourself in 10 years' time? And also, where can people find you as well?
Where can people find me?
Yeah, that's the second one. The very first one is, what's the big dream? Yeah. Where can you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Oh, I have all sorts of personal goals, but actually, you know, it all boils down to one thing, and my why behind my business is my family. And my husband is a teacher, and he works so hard. He's been away this weekend, standardizing to mark exam scripts, and so he does his day job as a year leader, and then comes home and spends about 3 hours every day having to mark scripts, and gets up early in the morning, and he just works incredibly hard. And all the time that I've been building up my business, he's been just, you know, plodding away in the background, and he's fantastic. And so, you know, my why is my business, and everything that I do is to earn money to, you know, take the kids out for the day and have an ice cream. We don't go on massive holidays, you know, that I'm not dreaming of, you know, emigrating or anything like that. I just yeah, it's all for just to have a happy, comfortable life, really. It's not even anything. No, I don't want a Ferrari or anything like that.
No.
So 10 years time, I'm obviously, you know, I keep feeling in increments I get more time as William's gone to school. So I've gone from 3 hours a day to 6 hours a day, which is just, you know, was life changing. As the kids get older again, it's going to be a few more hours a day, because I won't have to be, you know, limited by the school run. So I would like to achieve a really good balance between my two businesses, because I can't see a point at which I'm going to give the cakes up. So my 10-year plan is to be not driving myself crazy with running between the two businesses, and just you know, to keep up a steady stream, you know, and just get myself known. I mean, it's incredible, just in the however long it is, 8-9 months since I hit the ground running in September, the difference in my business between then and now has been phenomenal. So I'm quite excited to see what happens in the next, you know, 10 years. I can't tell you where I'll be. In Whitley Bay, I'm gonna be in Whitley Bay. I love it here. Hopefully maybe working with a few of the businesses that I've met, and, you know, collaborating on things, and maybe having my office space away from home and not be working at home. But it's small things, you know. I've got sort of small,
of course,
steps, baby steps, goals. So that's me. And to find me, I have my website. I'm on, as you mentioned, LinkedIn and Facebook, and so my website, maybe, I don't know whether it'll be easier to type it, you know, put it in a comment
let's just
underneath.
put it on a comment. Yeah,
because the hyphens in there and it gets a little complex. So and yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm generally around, and I very, very much welcome comments and engagement and all that kind of thing. So I hope I haven't blathered too much, and and it, you know, it's if anyone does have any questions, then fire away, and I'll be happy to get back to people. So
yeah, okay, right, thanks very much. It's been really interesting, and I learned a lot about this content writing and planning. Goodness me, I probably need to ring you and then ask loads of advice. And thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for your time too. And we'll catch up later then. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.